Have you ever pondered how one man could change the course of history so profoundly? Today, we delve into the life of one such man, Napoleon Bonaparte, whose influence still echoes through the ages. Napoleon, born in 1769, was a man of humble beginnings. His birthplace, Corsica, was a small Mediterranean island, known more for its rugged landscapes than for producing one of history's most influential figures. Yet, it was here that the seeds of a legend were sown. As a young boy, Napoleon was sent to France for his education, a move that would set the stage for his future ascension. He was an outsider, a foreigner, and he bore the brunt of his classmates' ridicule. But this adversity only steeled his resolve. It was during these formative years that Napoleon developed a keen intellect and a fierce determination, qualities that would serve him well in the years to come. When the French Revolution erupted in 1789, Napoleon was just a 20-year-old artillery officer, but he saw an opportunity in the chaos. He rose through the ranks with astonishing speed, demonstrating a strategic brilliance that both surprised and unnerved his superiors. By 1799, at the tender age of 30, Napoleon had become the first consul of France, a position that placed him at the helm of a nation teetering on the edge of collapse. But Napoleon was not content to merely stabilize France. He had grander visions, dreams of an empire that stretched across continents. He was a man of boundless ambition, a trait that both propelled him to the heights of power and set him on a collision course with the rest of Europe. In no time, Napoleon had become the most powerful person in France, but his ambition had no barriers. This was just the beginning for Napoleon Bonaparte. His story is one of power, conquest, and ultimately downfall, but that, dear listeners, is a tale for another time. Not satisfied with being first consul, Napoleon had greater aspirations. His hunger for power and prestige were insatiable, and in 1804, he took a step that would alter the course of history. He crowned himself emperor, not merely a ruler appointed by the people, but a divine sovereign chosen by destiny. Napoleon Bonaparte was no longer just a man, he was an emperor, a title that carried immense weight and responsibility. His coronation was a spectacle to behold, a grand display of his ambition and his audacity. But more than that, it was a declaration of his intent. Napoleon was not content to simply rule France, he had his eyes set on all of Europe. And so began his era of conquest, an era marked by strategic brilliance, relentless ambition, and a thirst for power that would leave a lasting legacy. Napoleon's military genius was evident in his campaigns. He was a master strategist, able to anticipate his enemies' moves and counter them with precision and decisiveness. His victories were not just a testament to his military prowess, but also to his ability to inspire and lead. His soldiers followed him not out of fear, but out of respect and admiration. They believed in his vision, in his dreams of a united and powerful Europe under French rule. But Napoleon's reign was not just about conquest. He also implemented significant reforms within France, the most notable of which was the Napoleonic Code. This legal code was a revolutionary step towards modern law, establishing principles of equality, meritocracy, and secularism. It was a testament to Napoleon's vision of a modern, progressive society, and it remains one of his most enduring legacies. Napoleon's reign seemed invincible, but every empire has its downfall. His ambition was his greatest strength, but it was also his greatest weakness. His thirst for power was insatiable, and it would ultimately lead to his downfall. But that's a story for another time. For now, let's bask in the glory of Napoleon's reign, a period of history that was as remarkable as it was turbulent. How do you think the seemingly unstoppable Napoleon met his end? This is where our story takes a dramatic turn. The year was 1812, and Napoleon, in his ever-ambitious pursuit of power, launched a disastrous campaign against Russia. This was a move that would prove to be his undoing. The Russian campaign was a catastrophic failure. The harsh winter and the Russian strategy of scorched earth left Napoleon's Grande Armée decimated. As the snow fell and temperatures plummeted, Napoleon's forces dwindled from nearly 500,000 to a mere 20,000. The once invincible leader had now tasted the bitter sting of defeat. But the worst was yet to come. The European powers, who had long been wary of Napoleon's expansionist ambitions, seized this moment of weakness. They formed a coalition and turned against him. By 1814, the coalition forces had defeated Napoleon, forcing him to abdicate the throne. But the story doesn't end here. Napoleon was exiled to the island of Elba, off the coast of Italy. A humbling fall for a man who had once held the reins of Europe in his hands. However, The fire within Napoleon was far from extinguished. In a dramatic turn of events, Napoleon escaped from Elba in 1815 and returned to France, where he was welcomed with open arms. This period, known as the 100 Days, saw Napoleon back in power. His charisma and reputation were enough to rally the French people once again. However, this return to power was short-lived. The coalition forces were quick to respond, and soon, Napoleon was facing the collective might of Europe. The stage was set for another showdown. But as they say, history repeats itself, and Napoleon was once again on the brink of defeat. The fall and exile of Napoleon serve as a stark reminder of the tenuous nature of power, and the inevitable fall that follows unchecked ambition. Waterloo, a name that echoes in history as the final act of Napoleon's dramatic saga. The Battle of Waterloo, fought on the 18th of June 1815, marked the end of Napoleon's rule as the French Emperor. A coalition led by the Duke of Wellington from Britain and General Blücher from Prussia faced off against Napoleon's forces. Despite their initial success, the French army could not sustain the momentum. The tide turned when the Prussian forces arrived, providing the much-needed reinforcement to the coalition. The battle was fierce, the losses heavy on both sides, but ultimately, it was Napoleon's final defeat. Following the loss at Waterloo, Napoleon was forced to abdicate the throne for the second time, only 100 days after his return from the first exile. But this time, there was no grand escape, no triumphant return. The Allies were determined to put an end to the Napoleon era, to ensure he could not disrupt the peace of Europe again. Napoleon was exiled to St Helena, a remote island located in the South Atlantic Ocean. It was a harsh contrast to his previous exile on the Mediterranean island of Elba. St Helena was isolated, windswept, and over 1,000 miles away from the nearest major landmass. It was here that the once most powerful man in Europe was reduced to a mere prisoner, guarded day and night. Life on St Helena was a far cry from the grandeur and power Napoleon had known. He spent his days in a small, damp house writing his memoirs, gardening, and reflecting on his past glories. His health deteriorated rapidly, and after 6 years of lonely exile, Napoleon passed away on the 5th of May, 1821. Rumors of poisoning circulated, but most historians agree that he probably died of stomach cancer, a disease that had also claimed his father. In the lonely island of St. Helena, the once mighty emperor met his end in 1821. So, what makes Napoleon a figure of such historical significance? To answer that, we must delve into the profound impact he had, not just on France, but the world at large. Napoleon's reign was characterized by sweeping reforms that have shaped many aspects of our modern society. Let's start with nationalism. Before Napoleon, Europe was a patchwork of kingdoms and principalities, with people identifying more with their local region than a unified nation. Napoleon's expansionist ambitions inadvertently stirred a sense of national pride among the conquered peoples. This rise of nationalism, a sense of belonging to a larger collective identity, was a significant catalyst for the political shape of the world we know today. In the domain of military strategy, Napoleon was a game-changer. The modern military organization, with divisions, corps, and a general staff, was a product of Napoleon's genius. His strategies and tactics are still studied in military academies around the world. He revolutionized warfare, turning it into a chess game where every move mattered and every piece had a role to play. And then there's the Napoleonic Code, a cornerstone of civil law jurisdictions worldwide. This comprehensive legal code was Napoleon's attempt to reform the French legal system, which had been a chaotic mess of local customs and royal decrees. The code ensured equal justice for all citizens, protected private property, and promoted social order. Its influence has been so profound that many elements of it can still be found in legal systems around the world, including our own. Yet the legacy of Napoleon is a complex one. He was a ruler who brought about significant reforms and changes, but also a conqueror whose ambition led to widespread war and destruction. His influence was far-reaching, and his name, synonymous with power and strategy, continues to echo through the annals of history. Napoleon Bonaparte, a man of humble beginnings, left an indelible mark on history. One can't help but wonder, what course would history have taken without him?